is being able to express myself and express the way the words come into my experience. So a lot of how I write has its own kind of rhythm, and it's beautiful, and it's organic. It's straight from my heart. So I feel like being an author and writing gives me that opportunity to nurture that part of me, that nurture that self-expression that only I can do. And so being an author is a privilege to share my thoughts.
Hi family, I'm Dr. Brenda Woburiosty. I'm a licensed daycare provider, a published author of 3 children's books, an advocate, a consultant, a veteran's wife, and a mother. If you need help setting up your daycare service or just looking for great ideas to incorporate a play-based learning approach as well as learn about research-based solutions to issues impacting education, this is the channel for you. Subscribe, share, like. Thank you.
Hi everyone, bonjour. My name is Dr. Alyssa Jean, and I am the author of A Time to Remember, a Haitian American bedtime story. And I'm excited to share with you all the amazing things in this book. I hope you enjoy it. Yes, I am from Miami, Florida, born and raised. And but my parents were originally born in Haiti. They both made their way to the States in their 20s, and then they settled down and had me, the last of 3 daughters. So yes. Yes. Okay. So a little bit about me. I am a mother of 6. Yes, I said 6. I have one older daughter who is 11, and now I have triplets who are turning 10 in a few days. And then I have my son who is 1 year old, and I just had a baby 6 weeks ago. And I have my daughter, Mahali, who is such a sweet baby girl. So I have a full family life. And I also enjoy making content, and my different professions actually brought that out of me. I originally started as a kindergarten teacher, pre-K and kindergarten, and then after that I moved on to 1st grade, then I did 3rd grade, then I became an interventionist, and I helped students who were striving readers who needed more support in literacy. Then I became a literacy coach. And after that, I went on to the district level. And while doing all of that, I got my doctorate in educational leadership. And then I went on to the district level as an instructional specialist. But currently, now I'm using, like I said, my content creator skills to run Genius Consulting, which is my speaking and training business. And it's been such a pleasure creating different workshops and trainings for schools, districts. And we just recently spoke at an institute that was highlighting the Haitian culture. And so we were able to talk with educators from around a very large district to expose them to Haitian culture. So a lot of what I do, a lot of what I create is around Haitian culture. My first book, my first song, the curriculum, all of that has kind of come ahead to make me who I am today. So yeah, so it actually came as a part of like a set. So when I make content, it really can come in all different forms. So this conference that I actually spoke at, I was originally inspired by it. I was listening to another speaker, and she was talking about the many ways that we could support Haiti, just figuring out what skills and talents do I possess that could help to elevate my own culture. Because before then I was really disconnected. I had bought into what the media had said. And so it made me really kind of have this fear of my own country. And as I started to as a result of this conference, I really started to do more research on Haitian history. I started to learn about myself, and I was able to break away from some of the things that I knew from when I was, since I was born, to really know myself for who I am and to understand what my gifts are so that I can live fully, for myself, but also to contribute to my community. And so Haitian preservation was birthed out of that conference. That was my way. It was about building a community of, parents and children learning together, because my generation wasn't taught anything about, those who identify as Haitian Americans. We weren't taught, anything about our history, and our parents didn't really fill in that gap either. And so I wanted to create a space where parents and their children are learning at the same time about Haitian history and culture, and how that links us back to, the motherland, Africa, because we consider ourselves to have two motherlands, Haiti and Africa. And so it was really birthed from that idea, and the song actually came first. And my sister, I have to give her credit about the book, but the song came first to me, and it's called Anu Kembe, and that translates to "Let Us Hold On." Haitian preservation, "Let Us Hold On." So when that theme song, when the Spirit gave me that song at 2 a.m. in the morning, I knew that I would need another piece to add on to, the song. And so my sister, we were brainstorming, and she was like, "You need a book, you need a bedtime story." And so that's when A Time to Remember was created. And it was birthed from this idea that there are times where we need to come together every single day as a family to talk about where we come from, to talk about why we speak, if we speak a different language, like in our case, it's Creole or Haitian Creole. So that book is about taking that time as a family to connect, and then at the same time speaking, the language. Even though you don't live there, you can still be connected to your people by speaking the language, by spending time together. And that's very much a part of Haitian history, because the griot would come around, the storyteller, and to each town in the evenings, and they would sit together and they would share stories, and that's how the community is formed, through these shared stories. So I wanted to do my part in connecting us back to our culture by through this book, creating that safe space. Really about a mother and a child coming together to learn more about their parent culture, which is the Haitian culture. So this is the cover. It's designed to be a bedtime story. So it's all about that. And one of my favorite lines, I'll tell you this, the book is dedicated to my grandmother. In Haitian Creole, they would call grandmothers gun, but since we were born here in America, we kind of like put an American twist to it, so we called her Gunny, like daddy, mommy, so she was called Gunny. And she was such a beautiful woman, and her spirit really, she was what connected me back home, and she spoke English, but, her mother tongue was Creole, so I got to get a little bit of my culture every time I would visit her. It was a staple Saturday night event where we would go there and she would cook for us. So I always got a little bit of my culture by spending time with my grandmother. And so this book, this is me speaking with her, and it's a beautiful honor and tribute to a very, very special woman. And one of the great things about this book, as you'll see, the illustrations are really bright. She really just wants her to, she says here, oui, which means yes, honey, I will make time to teach you son. And she says, oui, mommy, that sounds so funny. Where does that word even come from, right? So she's hearing her mother kind of like stick in the Creole words, which is very typical in Haitian American households. And so through the rhyme, it helps the reader, even if you're not from the Haitian culture, you can participate in this. And another great feature is I have phonetics, the phonetic sound underneath each Creole word. So the rhyme also supports the reader, and then the phonetic pronunciations underneath. And I think one of my favorite pages, which is kind of like the main, whole reason why I wrote this book, and it says, when you speak Creole, you do something bigger than just knowing Zo means bone. You connect to a world beyond these four walls, a bigger family, famille, a land, pays, lakai, a home, right? And so it's about elevating this experience through language that even though you live in the United States, you're by participating, by speaking to each other, by spending time with each other, you're connecting. You are having a time to remember, a time to connect. And so I love this. This is my favorite page in the entire book. And another cool feature in my book is that I have some information about Haitian Heritage Month, because I released it during Haitian Heritage Month, which is the month of May. And I have a little bit about the Haitian Creole language, because there are some misconceptions that it's a broken language, and that's not true at all. It has its own, grammar, pronunciation, vocabulary. It's very much a legitimate language, and its orthography, I have ways that when you see two letters together, it makes a specific sound, like A-N, it makes a sound, which is different than what we hear in English, which is and. So this is like another support and guide for the reader. Then I have all the vocabulary words and their translations. And then also kind of like a picture vocabulary section at the back. So when they're, when the parent and the child are together, they can cover it and say, hey, what's this word, kimosa, or, however they want to do it, they'll be able to share that bit and play around, have fun with it. So that's my fun. It was actually quite great. For the first part, just like the songs, the spirit just kind of impressed on me, because I kind of planted that seed. I knew what I wanted to do and I wanted to talk about. So once we knew it was a bedtime story, it was just a matter of like, okay, formatting the writing piece, and like that's where the rhyme kind of evolved to make sure that people could really participate in this book. And then I found a illustrator, and once I worked with that illustrator, we went back and forth on sketches. So I have all of those, the stages of the book. I had to describe, what look I wanted. And since it's a story between a mother and a daughter, even though, it's the setting of a series, it really is favoring this kind of maternal energy, pink, that feeling of love and warmth. So I had to communicate that with my illustrator, of course. And then once we got the pictures, we formatted the text. And then, we used Amazon to self-publish. And it was such a pleasure to see it. I have a video of my 4 daughters. Once we, got the copies, and they're like, I have I have my copy, and then each one of them would turn around and say, I have my copy, go get yours. And it's such a beautiful little commercial. But yeah, from start to finish, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed that whole creative process and how it manifested. The idea of parents and child coming together, it kind of is for everyone. It's a book for everyone. But as far as like the range, elementary school age, K-3, could manage reading this book. But it's designed for a family experience. The format of the book is softcover. I actually made a special change to my first edition versus this one. I call this the special edition, but it is the only version out there currently, because I made some updates to the book. So it only comes in the flat. But on my Haitian Preservation YouTube channel, I do a read aloud of the book. So to also help, this reach audiences, because Spanish is a language, you'll see it all over, and I want Haitian Creole to be the same. I want it to be accessible to people who are not of Haitian descent, because when you learn more about other cultures, you're less judgmental, you're more accepting. So that's why, like we chose this format. We have the read aloud on our YouTube channel, Haitian Preservation YouTube channel. Use this through social media, so through our Haitian Preservation IG page, and also through LinkedIn. We also have had opportunities to speak. So whenever we speak, we actually promote our books and let people know about it. So those are primarily the two ways. And some online marketing, paid ads. I am a writer, so like it's something that I really enjoy to do, because I feel like it's inspiration. It's from the ancestors. It's from my inner spirit. So I love writing the messages that I get, and I love the way my brain works. And so I definitely already had this planned out as a series. So this one is a time to remember, a Haitian American bedtime story. But the next one that I already have written, I'm just like in that process of doing the illustrating again and trying to support the reader, like I was telling you before. But it's called A Time to Remember, a Haitian American Identity Story. And so at the end, there's a little clip at the end of this book. There's a little cliffhanger, which connects this story to the next story in the series. So I'm really looking forward to how this kind of pans out. I already have, A Time to Remember, a Haitian American cooking story. And that one I'm thinking is going to happen between the father and the son, because Haitian men can cook. I think, they usually try to put it, it's only the women, but Haitian men can cook. And so I really wanted that story to kind of bring that out. My husband is a great cook, and I know he'll be teaching our son. So, yeah, I'm really excited to this series. But for me, I definitely know and have in drafts several personal development, really helping people understand themselves better because of my own personal journey and learning my history, and then kind of like, I don't want to say unlearning, but just learning, because you don't have to keep hold to an old identity. And when you're new, you're new. And so it's just like, I don't know all there is to know, but I'm willing to learn. So I'm starting fresh. So that's a lot of the material. I like to call myself a brain-heart connector, making sure that we have this connection and alignment, so that we can live very intentional lives. So that's where my probably professional development stuff comes into, professional and personal development, because I think in the field of education, that's something that has definitely been lacking. And because of those things, we see, low teacher retention rates, burnout, like you can't find subs. Like the education world has some serious issues that they've neglected with mental health, and they usually do it after a crisis. But now we're starting to see funding being put into these spaces, which is great. So we need to create that bridge, create that connection. And I think that when I'm given that opportunity to do my workshops and my presentations, I bring to light the spirit aspect of how that makes our days fulfilling. We are more than just our jobs. We are beings. And so as a human being, every moment in my daily experience, I want to feel the best. I want to feel the best. I want to enjoy my life. And so I think teachers would definitely benefit from having that kind of training and support throughout the school year, so that they can, because they're teaching the next generation, that they can, incite and be the impetus of like some creative explosion. It's time for a renaissance. It's time for the creativity to be unleashed. And we need educators who are sensitive to that and not holding on to this Western perspective of, the numbers, reading, writing, arithmetic. No, we need to feed our spirits. We need to let our intuition drive our curriculum. Everything doesn't need to be a repeat of the year before. We can be creative in our approaches to education. And so that's why Haitian preservation is partly a curriculum in the making, because I believe that we need a plan that allows, a learning map that allows for this flexibility of thought, of seeing what your students are interested in and letting that content drive the instruction, but not be the source of, these arbitrary numbers. The SAT is an arbitrary number. ACT, all of these tests are very much, the grades even are arbitrary. And we're really measuring the wrong things, I think, in education sometimes. And if we were to lean more towards that right brain, more towards that spirituality, more towards that connection to nature and earth, and understanding what kind of universe we live in and honoring it, I think education can be transformed. So I hail myself as a curriculum pioneer because I really want to see, our children who can't afford to be in a private school setting, that there is a curriculum that can be implemented even into public schools. So that's why I think it's a part of my journey of really kind of bridging that gap to educators and administrators on this message. My favorite part of being an author is being able to express myself and express the way the words come into my experience. So a lot of how I write has its own kind of rhythm, and it's beautiful, and it's organic. It's straight from my heart. So I feel like being an author and writing gives me that opportunity to nurture that part of me, that nurture that self-expression that only I can do. And so being an author is a privilege to share my thoughts. The advice I would give an aspiring author is to just do it. I know a new Martin, she's dear to me, and she said the same thing, but it's absolutely true. Just do it. It first has to start in the mind, first breaking off those layers. Because sometimes when you say something and some thought in your mind immediately goes against that, is it a hater voice or is it a supporter voice? And we have to learn to recognize those different voices. And so I support the supporter voice. When you say you want to do something, be your biggest cheerleader. Yay, go do that thing. Just do it. Because as you're in that journey, you will learn, more about who you are, and you'll have more clarity about the experience you want to have, and what opportunities career-wise, being an author can bring into your life, and how it can support your lifestyle. Those are all real things to consider. So that's what would be my advice. Just throw yourself, immerse yourself into it, enjoy every moment of the learning process, and live your life according to your passions and what draws you into the writing profession. An affirmation that I say to myself, and I learned this from a spiritual teacher who said, the greatest relationship you will ever have is with yourself. And so my final quote would be, I love myself more than anyone. That is an affirmation that I repeat to myself because I understand the power that it gives me to understand how I'm shaping my own reality, how I want to emanate myself in this world. And so when I affirm myself, when I affirm who I am, I'm able to love everyone so much more, better and deeper, because I understand how to do that for myself. So if that's an affirmation that resonates with you, use it, and you'll feel that power, you'll feel that empowerment in your life.